Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you coming to participate in this message that is ours. Not mine, but ours. So this evening, between you and I, we are going to process the information that we need to process today. Because it is evident that something must have gone wrong. We find ourselves sick. Why should we be sick? So tonight, we hope that I would be to you as you have been to me this evening. You came to listen. What are we ingesting? And whatever we are ingesting, did our archaeologists, paleontologists, historians, or Egyptologists, did they take time out to ask about the food that would maintain my hormones, my central nervous system in perfect working condition? No, they didn't ask these questions. This was never even thought of. They went on to tell us about Plato, the philosophers, Plato, Aristotle, Diogenes, as if though that matters. The archaeologists were telling us about the various fossils that was found in Egypt 10 million years ago. The others, the historian, they talk about what took place in Africa so many hundreds of thousands of years ago. But never did one said that he found or that they found a food that is consistent with our cellular structure, and that is of most importance. But I stand before you today at 65 feeling very healthy. I'm feeling very good. I didn't go to school to learn ABC or 1, 2, 3. I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't read any books on how to win friends and influence people just to stand before you and talk. Haven't you heard many says, well, I can't talk because I'm very nervous. But what could make you nervous to talk to your brothers and your sisters? I mean, you talk to your husband, you talk to your wife. Why can't you talk to a group? Something in us, that fear that comes with the food that we eat. That was the violation all the time, but we couldn't see it. We cannot see it even now.
The body was not designed to be sick. Bird doesn't get sick. Elephant doesn't get sick. He needs no vet. The lion doesn't need a vet. Neither is a giraffe or any of the natural animals. Why do we get sick? There has been a violation that is costing us our life today. And it would have been okay if I live happy until I die because of the violation, but that isn't what's happening. Because of the violation, I become stressed. I become extremely stressed until I die. Why do we get sick? What is the violation? The violation comes with creation, the understanding of it. The violation is when we have forgot or dismissed the ecclesiastics when it is said, the herbs are for the healing of the nations.
Remember what we said, that God made food for a plant, specifically for plants. Each plant has a different food. Birds, eagle eats meat, not a sparrow, not a hummingbird. He sucked the nectar from the flower. Gorillas, he eats leaves. Polar bear, he eats seal and blood. Homo sapiens is making a mistake someplace, somewhere, because among the animals, there are some that are carnivorous and some that are herbivorous. But among Homo sapiens, everybody eats meat. Something is wrong. Because if among the animals and plants, you could see a distinct food for each cellular structure, well, how come Homo sapiens are exempt from that same law? There are no vegetarians among the Homo sapiens. How I found out that black people should be vegetarians, because when I begin to remove you from that meat and that stuff, that grease, you begin to say in 1 week how the pain that you had for years begin to disappear.
Is fish good?
Fish rots in the intestines.
Oh. That's where the worms go.
Oh, exactly right. Anything that walk, crawls, swim, or fly, and that has a head should not enter my system.
Remember what we said, and this could be investigated, that carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are the main players in not only supporting life, but in the manifestation of life. You see, everything that is constructed by the universe, creation, or God, has the structure of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and it is starch-less. Whatever substance that is created by the universe is starch-less.
Blood and starch. Blood and starch? Blood and starch is going to prevent you from doing what the ants does for each other. Anything that God made is on the alkali side. Why? The molecular structure is complete. It was made by nature, not man. Anything that God made has no starch. That's another thing. Anything that nature makes has no starch. Anything that man made has to have starch, because starch is a binder. To titrate two unequal chemicals, you have to use a starch. Starch is not a food. Starch is a chemical.
When we believe that the milk of a cow, an animal, is sufficient to afford nutrition to a human body, then one has to question that, because I am not an animal. That's common sense, I think. Animals produces milk for animal babies. Human beings, women, females, produces milk for human babies. But something happened to us that we elect to do just the opposite. Instead of us giving our babies the milk of a female human, we elect and chose to give our children the milk of an animal. I think that if we are to be scientific, intelligent, and lowest on the strata, to use our common sense, is there something wrong with that? And then, to compound the problem, is that the animal that we selected to afford us this milk is an animal that was made through the process of hybridization, an animal that is godless. God did not make a cow. You see why we are titling this subject as the reconnection? How many of you sitting in the audience understood that or knew that? Well, I suspect that many of you doesn't. Why? Because in 1985, which is approximately 17 years ago, the Usha Research Institute took a position and showed the public of New York on WLI that carrots are artificial. Because they are artificial, they are unable to deliver the nutrition that one is looking for, because it is hybrid. You see, to understand nutrition, one has to use only those substances that are electrical. And the only substance on this planet that are electrical are the products that came with creation. Carrots didn't. Beets, rice, beans, wheatgrass, wheat. All these things are hybrid, plus much more. So what we are noticing is that there is gross misinformation when it relates to healing and nutrition. Because if in 1985 we didn't know that carrots was artificial, what else exists that we are unaware of?
Yes, sir. Dr. Sebi, explain to the people watching this tape the word electricity, and how it pertains to its necessity boundaries within the body structure.
Now you see? Now that was the best question that could have been asked. Why? Because if something is of usefulness in my structure, in my biological structure, it must necessarily be electrical. And the only substance that is electrical, that are electrical, are those substances that come from the forest we call the jungle. Because the molecular structure is complete, it's not broken. If something is made by Mother Nature, one could easily use the common sense and see where this stuff is natural, is complete. But if something is made in the laboratory, well, naturally, common sense again shows us it could not be of usefulness. Each mineral on the planet, iron has 12,000 electrons per atom, calcium has 9,000, opium has the specific amount, and so it goes through the whole ramification of life. 142 minerals expresses themselves in a different way because that is necessary to maintain continuity, to maintain that individuality of each plant. The bones is calcium, not the blood. The blood is iron.
Iron is one of the most important mineral on the planet. And the reason for that is that iron is the only magnetic mineral on the planet. It attracts every other mineral to it. So when you ingest iron, you are ingesting every other mineral on the planet, and they are 102. This is why when people come to us that are severely anemic, We recommend our iron, our natural vegetation cell food, which is iron fluorine. Not only does it revitalize the cells in the blood, but we should know this, that iron is what conveys oxygen to the brain, and oxygen is what the brain converts and uses for electricity. It is the food of the brain. In the reconnection, we find that carbon is the determining factor in reference to life. The higher the concentration of carbon, the higher the quality of life. When carbon is absent, life is also absent. So what we did, after understanding that these things were not forthcoming, we decided to travel the world, once arriving at the understanding that when God does things, it should be respected. We went to Africa, Central and South America. We find the tropical plants, we put them together, and this is what we found: that there is only one disease. And that was said for the first time to the Supreme Court of New York in 1988, that there is only one disease. That one disease that is afflicting us is the basis for all manifestations of pathology. The mucous membrane has been compromised. Compromised by what? By an acid substance. You see, our body are alkali. The food should be alkali. Being that it is alkali, it is acid-free and it is electrical.
The African biomineral balance is a therapeutical approach to pathology that addresses disease on two levels. One, an intracellular cleansing, an intracellular chelation. We have to clean the cells of what? Of the toxins that has been accumulated and brought the disease in the first place. We have to clean the toxins out. It's as simple as that. And second, we have to build the body back up. With what? With energy that is natural, from the natural plants. One of the main players is iron. It is impossible for you to get sick if your iron level is up to par. Everybody that's sick is anemic. And guess who was my first patient? It frightened the hell out of me. I'm washing dishes, see? It was a morning, a Monday morning, I'm washing dishes. And I have my little girl, Usha, on the counter. And a man came in front of my kitchen window. Young man? I said, yes, sir. I heard that you've been experimenting with herbs. He said, yes. Well, I'm blind. I'm blind for 11 years. Could you help me? I said, I'll try. If you make me see, I give you $1 million. I gave the man the substance. When am I going to see? I said, by Friday. Now, why did I select Friday until this day? I don't know. But I was so sure of myself. But how could a boy that didn't go to school be so sure of himself? So, the man went home with the medicine. And the Wednesday, good morning, young man. I raised my right hand. You say you raise your right hand. I wink my left eye. You say you wink your left eye. I said, the man is seeing. At that point of my journey, I couldn't explain that. I know it's a bunch of herbs that cleanse the man's body, but they were all alkali plants.
I have a sister, either she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's been in my care for 2 years. I do have her on a fresh food diet, all organic foods, all raw foods, and I'm seeing a big improvement. But I feel as though she needs some other things. And what else can I do to help her?
Alzheimer's.
She has Alzheimer's, yes, sir.
Okay, Alzheimer's. That's a brain problem, right? Remember what I said? There's only one disease? Okay. When you have mucus in the nasal passage, it is sinusitis. When you have mucus in the bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. When you have mucus in the lungs, it's pneumonia. But now you have mucus where? For you to have Alzheimer's, where is the mucus? So we have to remove the mucus from out of the system, especially the brain, but then we have to feed the brain. That's where biochemistry comes into play. The brain. Like if the sister was suffering with rickets, that's bones, right? So we have to address calcium. If she had leukemia, it would be blood, that's iron. But now she has Alzheimer's. She has mucus in the brain, which prevents the brain from receiving what? Oxygen. Now, what is the brain composed of? Copper and carbon. That is what produces electricity. Copper and carbon. It's simple. Copper and carbon produces electricity. You go to an electrical plant, and all you're going to see is a big wheel turning, and it's copper. But against the wheel are these carbon brushes, and the friction of the carbon and the copper produces the resonance they call electricity. Electricity is not fire, it is vibration. But when you short circuit it, it's become fire. Yes, sir. Mr. Charles Fisher. Who is Charles Fisher? He was the manager for LL Cool J. That was my second case of hepatitis C. Yes. What is hepatitis C? The liver has been stressed. Right. Beyond. Hepatitis C is nothing. Maria Elena from San Pedro had cancer of the liver. Her mother and her aunt bought the black dress to bury her. The doctor sent her home to die. Maria Elena's sister saw a newspaper with me in it. She said, hey, there's a nigger down there in Jutiapa that got a big mouth that says he could do a bunch of stuff. And she came. 2 years have gone by. Maria Elena is healthier than her sister. Yes. What is hepatitis C? It's when the liver has got so toxic and loaded with what? With poison. Blood and starch. So we clean it, clean the body, because you have to clean the intestines, you have to clean the liver, you have to clean the blood. Here it is. Moringa. Moringa has 23 times the iron in spinach. Spinach has iron? No, because spinach, let me take my time because there's a whole lot of information. I don't want to jog it up. Anything that has a pH of 7 plus is alkali. Anything that has less, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is acid. Spinach. Acid. Why compare moringa with spinach? When spinach has a starch base, it has no iron. 7 times the calcium in milk. Milk has calcium. Well, I stopped drinking milk 42 years ago, and I could fall on my knees. You drink milk with moringa because they said to mix it with making some pages hair. You're not going to fall on your knees at 73. You're going to leave your knees down there. 11 times vitamin A that you find in carrots. Carrots has vitamin A. Carrots belongs on the acid side of life. So right there, and they send it to mix with carrot juice. Why would they do that? Then up here, they talk about the Ayurvedic system of medicine recommends moringa. The Ayurvedic is Indian. The Ayurvedic system of medicine recommends cow milk. The Ayurvedic system of medicine has never cured any disease, nor moringa, nor any other system in the world. You know what this is like? When Steven Seagal tells me to come to his house because he had a headache for 5 years. Well, I knew why the headache was in his head. It was removed in less than 10 minutes. He had the bottle and said, "This bottle is powerful." I said, "Yeah, powerful, huh?" She said, "Yeah, the headache is gone."
My brothers and sisters, friends and everyone else, obedience to the laws of life is a thing that we have to go into it gradually. This isn't something that we're going to jump off into it immediately. Steps. But yes, prevent the starch. You begin a good journey. Prevent the uric acid, the carbonic acid, and the lactic acid. Free of those acids, those things that you're pursuing would immediately be given to you, just like they're given to me. Thank you very much.